Ladies and gentlemen, now you all are requested to rise for the chief guest.
Distinguished invitees, ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the national anthem.
Sri Lanka Mata, Apa Sri Lanka, Namo 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 Mata, Sundara Siri Barini, Surani Ati Sobhamana Lanka, Dana Ganaya Nikamal Pada Turu Piri Jaya Bhumiya Ramya, අපහට සැප සිරි සිත සදනා ජීවනයේ මාතා පිළිගනු මැන අප භක්ති පූජා නමෝ නමෝ මාතා අප ශ්‍රී ලංකා නමෝ 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 මාතා ඔබ වේ අප විද්‍යා ඔබමය අප සත්‍යා ඔබ වේ අප ශක්ති අප හද තුල භක්ති ඔබ අප ආලෝකේ අපගේ අනුප්‍රාණේ ඔබ අප ජීවන වේ අප මුක්තිය ඔබ වේ නව ජීවන දෙමිනේ නිතින අප පුබුදු කරන් මාතා ඥාන වීර වඩවමින රැගෙන යනු මැන ජය භූමි කරා එක මවකගේ දරු කැළඹැවිනා යමු යමු වී නොපමා ප්‍රේම වඩා සැම වේද දුරැරදා නමෝ නමෝ මාතා අප ශ්‍රී ලංකා නමෝ 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 මාතා
Distinguished invitees, ladies and gentlemen, Sri Lanka's maritime heritage and historical significance are deeply rooted in a rich and remarkable past. Over centuries, our maritime footprints have shaped not only our history, but also the well-known present that we are privileged to experience today. We firmly believe that Sri Lanka's maritime heritage and the historical significance will remain as a beacon of hope and progress for generations to come. With these thoughts in mind, we are pleased to present a short video documentary titled Sri Lanka's Maritime Heritage and Historical Significance.
For millennia, the island of Lanka sat at the very heart of the Indian Ocean, midway along the great maritime Silk Route from China to Europe. By 150 AD, the Greek geographer Ptolemy described Taprobane as an island of nearly continental size. From the 8th century BCE, the southwest monsoons carried ships from the west, while the northeast monsoons brought them back from the east. Natural harbors, Maritime in the northwest, Godawaya in the south, Gorkonna in the east, became bustling ports. Navigable canals and waterways fed goods to inland capitals like Anuradhapura and Polonnaruwa. Lanka was one of the great emporiums of the East. What did merchants trade? English sailor Robert Knox listed imports: velvets, silks, Chinese porcelain, opium, camphor, musk, agar wood, glass bottles and colorful cloths. Lanka's exports were legendary: gems, pearls, elephants, ivory, tortoiseshell, valuable wood, and spices: cinnamon, cardamom, cloves, pepper. But the seabed has given us even more. Marine archaeologists working off the southern coast discovered the Godawaya shipwreck, dated to the 2nd century BCE, loaded with glass ingots, copper ingots, stone querns, and exotic ceramics. It is the oldest known wreck in the Indian Ocean. Later wrecks like the Avondale off Goal carried Chinese ceramics and colonial trade goods. These underwater sites are time capsules, proving Lanka's central role in transoceanic commerce. In the colonial era, coffee, tea, and rubber were added. But this edition looks both backward and forward, from ancient trade to the modern development of Margapura harbour as Sri Lanka regains its status as Asia's trade hub. Pottery is the most abundant find on any dig and on any shipwreck. Its style tells us where it came from. At Jetawana Monastery, red polished ware from North India, Persian and Roman pieces. The Anuradhapura citadel yielded Hellenistic black pots from the Mediterranean, 2nd century BCE. At Mantai, black polished ware with orange Persian clay, huge transport jars from the Middle East. Later, Chinese ceramics at Yapahua. Marine excavations have recovered entire ceramic cargoes. Storage jars from the Godawaya wreck that match West Asian types. And stoneware from Southeast Asia in deeper waters off the south coast. Locally made vessels also show foreign influence in shape and function, proof of a flourishing proto-historic to medieval trade network, both on land and beneath the waves. Brahmi inscriptions from the 3rd century BCE mention gifts of caves to Buddhist monks by Navika, sailors. The Duvegala inscription ends with the carved symbol of a boat. These sailors were respected members of ancient Lanka society. One inscription records King Gajabahu 113 to 135 AD granting the income of Gudawaya port to a temple. Another, by King Parakramabahu 1153 to 187 AD, sets rules for ships arriving at Uratota, today's Kites. In Gaul, a trilingual inscription in Persian, Chinese and Tamil, 14th century, stands as living proof of multinational trade. Now, marine archaeology has added a new voice. Stone anchors, some weighing over 100 kilograms, have been found off Godawaya and in the Palk Strait. These anchors match types from Arabia, India and China, confirming that the crews themselves came from across the known world. Direct evidence of trade comes from foreign coins found near ancient harbors. Rome, Greece, China, India, Afghanistan, and Persia, all their currencies have been unearthed. Roman brass coins were even imitated locally. Hordes of thousands have been found. Seals used to guarantee untouched goods have also been recovered. In Tissamaharamaya, Akurugoda, and Ridhigama, farmers and archaeologists alike have turned up countless trade items. Marine excavations add non-coins, lead and copper ingots from the Godawaya wreck, possibly bound for Anuradhapura's metal workshops. One wreck off gold carried Chinese coins and elephant tusks. These seafloor finds are direct evidence of cargoes that never reached land, frozen in time. Later, colonial powers left their mark, the Dutch VOC emblem and the British Bale mark on coins, and also on cannon and trade goods recovered from post-medieval wrecks. For over 2,000 years, Lanka was a crossroads of civilizations, where Roman merchants met Chinese traders, where Persian pitchers rested beside Tamil inscriptions, where ships from 3 continents anchored in the same natural harbors. Marine archaeology has given us a new map, not of land, but of the seabed. The Godawaya wreck, the Avondale, the stone anchors and ingots, they prove that the ocean floor is not a graveyard, but a library, still being read. Today, the Sri Lanka Navy proudly presents the first edition of Sri Lanka's maritime heritage and historical significance. Top archaeologists, historians, and maritime experts contribute to the making of the chapters within. It blends insights from the University of Peradeniya, Kelaniya, and Jaffna, plus the Department of Archaeology, Central Cultural Fund, and the Postgraduate Institute of Archaeology. Their collective expertise have illuminated the depths of our past, providing a beacon to guide our way forward. The Navy, as modern guardians of the sea, hopes this inspires research, pride, and protection of our blue heritage for future generations.
Distinguished invitees, ladies and gentlemen, to formally welcome the gathering, may I now invite Commander Chaminda Balakuluge, Senior Staff Officer of Strategic Studies and Doctrinal Development. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. Distinguished invitees, esteemed dignitaries, ladies and gentlemen, a very good evening. And before I go about with the welcome remarks, I must confess the weather these days is quite challenging. Anything but exciting. But just looking across the room from where I stand, I'm just thrilled with excitement, and there's so much inspiration in the room this evening. You just have to look around to see how true it is. This evening marks a historic milestone, not merely for Sri Lankan Navy, but for the nation at large. We are not gathered here simply to launch a book. We are here to fundamentally reshape how we, the citizens, and how the global community perceive and appreciate the rich tapestry of our island's maritime heritage. It is my profound privilege and honor to welcome you all on behalf of the Commander of the Sri Lankan Navy, Vice Admiral Kanchana Banagoda. We are deeply honored by the gracious presence of our chief guest, the Honorable Deputy Minister of Defense, Major General Aruna Jayasekara, retired. Sir, your presence adds great significance and value to this event. And we are truly grateful for your continued support and encouragement. Our deep respects also goes to the former Commander of the Navy, Admiral Priyantha Pereira, the Commander of the Army, Lieutenant General Lasantha Rodrigo, the Commander of the Air Force, Air Marshal Bandhu Edisinghe. We also extend our most sincere greetings to the Director General of the Central Cultural Fund, Dr. Nilan Kure, the Director General of the Department of Archaeology, Mr. E.A. Senarath Wickramasinghe, Director General National Archives, Dr. Nadira Rupasinghe, Director Postgraduate Institute of Archaeology, Mr. Arjuna Tantilage. Thank you for taking your time to, despite your busy schedules, to spend with us. We most respectfully welcome the Chief of Staff of the Sri Lankan Navy, Rear Admiral Damien Fernando, the Deputy Chief of Staff, Rear Admiral Ravindra Thisera, the Commander Western Naval Area, all Director Generals present, flag rank officers, distinguished academics, brilliant scholars, researchers, representatives of government institutions, our friends from the print and electronic media, and all honored guests, your presence is greatly encouraging. I must also pause to salute the mastermind behind this academic triumph. A very respectful welcome to the Editor-in-Chief, Senior Professor Raj Somadeva, our expert panel of authors, and the former head of the Naval Research Wing, Priyadashana Udukumbra. This book is a beautiful symphony of collaboration between the Sri Lankan Navy, leading universities in history and archaeological studies, the Central Cultural Fund, and the brilliance of the distinguished scholars and the independent historians. Through this collective endeavor, we have sought to widen our national perspective, looking outward at the blue horizons that define us. This work synthesizes divergent historical schools of thought and anchors them with remarkable archaeological discoveries rescued from the vast ocean expanses surrounding our island. For those unfamiliar with our maritime past, these pages stitch together a beautifully unified story across centuries, if not millennia. Your presence here this evening demonstrates your commitment to scholarship, national heritage, and the intellectual advancement. We sincerely appreciate your participation and support. Once again, on behalf of the Commander of the Sri Lankan Navy, I warmly welcome you all and is more than convinced of a memorable and pleasant evening. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I now respectfully invite the Commander of the Navy, Vice Admiral Kanchana Banagoda, to deliver his valuable thoughts to this august gathering. Sir, over to you.
the Chief Guest, Honorable Deputy Minister of Defence, Major General Anuja Jayasekara, retired, Senior Professor Raj Somadeva, Commander of the Army and Commander of the Air Force, former Commander of the Navy, Admiral Priyantha Pereira, retired, all heads of government institutions, the Chief of Staff and all flag rank officers, officers, senior sailors, junior sailors, distinguished scholars, and all invitees, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. The sea has always played a vital role in shaping our history and culture. Therefore, it is worthy to be studied. The publication of this day is certainly an academic triumph. Here, the Sri Lanka Navy became the common thread in bridging all knowledge and resources together. We combined different institutions, experts in the creation of this masterpiece. I must say that the untiring efforts of Professor Raj Somadeva and other renowned scholars have paved way to such a valuable product. It is with respect and honor that we remember our late Instructor Lieutenant Commander Somasiri Devendra, who pioneered the field of maritime history and archaeology, thereby inspiring generations of naval men and women. Also, visionary efforts of the 25th Command of the Navy, Admiral Priyantha Pereira, retired, for commissioning this endeavor with the help of all qualified divers and writers, and Captain Priyadarshana Udukumara, retired, who as the head of former Naval Research Wing put this vision into motion. I need to mention this. Through this publication, we are reminded not only the proud maritime past, but also the importance of caring, safeguarding, and studying this subject matter in a responsible and an accountable manner, which would be beneficial and appreciated by future generations. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your valuable insights, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I now respectfully request the chief guest today, Deputy Minister of Defence, Honorable Major General Aruna Jayasekara, retired, to the podium to deliver the valuable insights in view of this wonderful occasion. Over to you, sir.
Ayubowan, Assalamu alaikum, Vanakkam, good evening to every one of you. So let me foremost avail myself of this opportunity to extend my sincere gratitude and thanks to the Commander of the Navy of inviting me of gracing this occasion, the launching of your historical, the compilation. And also, let me extend my sincere thanks to all the scholars that you have got together of preparing and then studying, evaluating, and bringing about very worthwhile, valuable a book. I read it across the book, not that I skimmed, although that I have some work, but I went through it, found very interesting, although that I am not much conversant with the Navy affairs, but I could remember the bad times that what we had about some years ago, but we have experienced. Uh, Although that it's a comprehensive study, I was wondering as why that we are so late to bring about this such valuable the contributions. We are being a maritime nation. We know the worth or the wealth of the potentials that what we have around us. There are many maritime nations in the world that are explored and exploited what are the potentials for the best interests of their country. I'm as thankful to the Sri Lankan Navy is undertaking a timely initiative of facilitating such an integrative scholarly endeavor, and also the thankful to all those who have contributed of compiling, especially the archaeologists, historians, the maritime experts. We being a maritime nation, island, the mostly much familiar about the shore, the fishing, and also maybe for near the seas to explore and the benefits for our own goods, but not much at the deep seas. And I was wondering as why the locals have not shown much any special interest, no special knowledge in seafaring, which could have transcended to our present the generations. So many island nations use these potentials for their own development. And the renowned island for trade long the Silk Route has brought about the short, the video clip of the Asian continent or the Indian Ocean as well. This recollects my mind also that when I was doing, and in fact, then many of the Navy, the scholars, what the Admiral Than Mahan said about many centuries ago that he had predicted, not predicted, it has come true, that whosoever that who is have the influence of commanding over this Indian Ocean may have potentials to govern the economy, which I think so now it's become a very true fact. So the Sri Lanka's maritime heritage and historical significance, especially the publication of the scholarly articles, the book by these professionals and the expertise, to bringing all the expert knowledge together, I think it's very somewhat the clear picture about the role of the external trade in Sri Lanka's, the island's economy. What we had and now how can we exploit it. Fortunately or unfortunately, we are located strategically, but we haven't exploited our the benefits through this the strategic the position, which we haven't. So rather, we were exploiting the resources or the wealth what we have for individual purposes, which is the very fact that I also came forward as a politician, that is to bring the goods to the people of this country and then for a fair share for everyone. What we are left with, a weak state, the corrupted the country. So now we have to revamp and then start from the scratch. So I think these kind of the valuable documents or the studies, researchers would facilitate or help for the future generations. I mean to exploit the successes what we have around our country. And also we are looking or into with the defense review or the bring about some reforms for the defense sector, management, especially these kind of articles together would also be beneficial for very much for the defense review or to bring about many reforms. As the government, we have identified the Sri Lanka's role in the regional power dynamics. So the military doctrines, as what we have taught or learned during our studies, those also have been formulated and practiced in the past are being now faced with new dimensions. So while the Sri Lanka may not possess overwhelming naval and the military power, so its maritime diplomacy offers an effective avenue to enhance its sea power. There is no doubt that the publication initiatives of this Sri Lanka's maritime heritage and historical significance is a timely intervention. I am convinced that there needs to be reviewed vigor of our maritime orientation as we navigate into the future. And the launch of this edition today is a key milestone in that direction. Indeed, the Sri Lankan Navy has proved yet once again the ability to bring about different stakeholders to cooperate in the pursuit of a common good. So as the commander of the Navy mentioned, I too am hopeful that there would be a second edition of this volume or the same with added flavors from the Sri Jayawardhanapura, Rajarata and Ruhunu universities. So given what has been evident throughout the course of today and considering the vast possibilities that our maritime frontier presents to us as islanders in a global world, so I'm also hopeful that the time is ripe for an overarching maritime policy initiative. So one that connects the multiplicity of stakeholders involved. Such an initiative would ensure that efforts like the one we celebrate today do not dissolve in the chaos of the future. So I would be falling short of my endeavor if I don't commend the tremendous work done by the editorial board and the eminent panel of resource persons of this splendid publication. On the concluding remarks, so let me assert that history is the story of mankind, or what it has done, suffered and enjoyed. And accounts of this magnitude does make us aware of our heritage and appraise its significance in the course of our destiny. So let me thank the Commander of the Navy and all the distinguished guests, invitees, the scholars, and the former Commander of the Navy, the Admiral Priyantha Perera, and all the senior officials who are present here for this wonderful occasion. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your valuable insights.
Distinguished invitees, ladies and gentlemen, now we have reached the most significant moment of today's ceremony, the official launch of the first edition of Sri Lanka's Maritime Heritage and Historical Significance. May I now respectfully invite the Commander of the Navy, Vice Admiral Kanchana Banagoda, and Chief Editor, Professor Raj Somadeva, on the stage in view of the official launch. Ladies and gentlemen, here the first editions of Sri Lanka's Maritime Heritage and Historical Significance will be officially presented to our chief guest, the Honorable Deputy Minister of Defence, Major General Aruna Jayasekara, retired, and I respectfully invite the Director General Policy and Plan, Rear Admiral Jayant Bandara, to accompany our chief guest on this stage.
Thank you very much, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, now the officially launched edition will be symbolically presented to the distinguished invitees present here.
Distinguished invitees, ladies and gentlemen, may I now respectfully invite the Chief Editor, Professor Raj Somadeva, Senior Professor in Archaeology and Postgraduate Institute of Archaeology, to the podium to deliver his reflections on the remarkable efforts behind this first edition of Sri Lanka's maritime heritage and historical significance. Sir, over to you.
Honorable Deputy Minister of Defence, Secretary to the Ministry of Defence, Commander of Sri Lanka Navy, Commander of Sri Lanka Army and Air Force, distinguished officers, respected scholars, ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed a privilege and an honor to address this distinguished gathering on the occasion of the launch of the publication produced by the Research Wing of Sri Lanka Navy. I extend my sincere congratulations to all those who contributed to this important endeavor. I believe that today's event marks a significant turning point in the intellectual and institutional trajectory of the Sri Lanka Navy. The publication being launched is not merely another addition to the growing body of literature on maritime affairs. Rather, it represents a fresh initiative that reflects a broader vision of the Navy's future role within the national framework. More importantly, it signals an optimism grounded in knowledge, research, and strategic planning. It demonstrates a commitment to understanding the complexities of the maritime domain through systematic inquiry and scholarly engagement, thereby strengthening the capacity of Navy to meet future challenges. The significance of this initiative becomes clearer when weighed against the historical background of Sri Lanka's relationship with the Indian Ocean. For more than 2.5 millennia, activities within the Indian Ocean have played a decisive role in shaping the social, cultural, economic, and political dynamics of this island. Sri Lanka's geographical position at the center of the Indian Ocean has endowed it with a unique historical destiny. Situated along some of the world's most important maritime routes, the island has long functioned as a crucial node connecting the eastern and western regions of Asia and beyond. Historical records, archaeological evidence, and literary traditions consistently demonstrate that Sri Lanka served as a trustworthy transit point for merchants, religious missionaries, diplomats, adventurers, and travelers who navigated the waters between the Mediterranean world, the Arabian Peninsula, South Asia, Southeast Asia, and East Asia. The island's ports facilitated not only the movement of goods, but also the exchange of ideas, technologies, religious beliefs, and cultural traditions. Consequently, the history of Sri Lanka cannot be understood in isolation from the history of Indian Ocean. The maritime sphere was not merely a backdrop of historical developments. It was one of the principal forces that shaped the evolution of Sri Lanka's civilization. Trade networks facilitated economic prosperity. Maritime interactions contributed to urbanization. Religious movements such as Buddhism traveled through maritime routes, transforming the cultural landscape of the region. Diplomatic relations between kingdoms were frequently mediated through naval and commercial connections. Thus, the Indian Ocean functioned as a vast arena of connectivity that influenced every major dimensions of Sri Lankan society. The archaeological records provides compelling testimony to these interactions. Excavations conducted at numerous coastal and inland sites have revealed evidence of extensive trade relations dating back to the early historic period. Roman coins, Persian ceramics, Chinese porcelain, South Indian inscriptions, and various imported artifacts discovered in Sri Lanka indicate the island's integration into the complex transoceanic network. These findings remind us that the maritime connectivity was not an occasional phenomena, but a sustained and transformative process extending across centuries. However, the Indian Ocean was not solely a medium of exchange and cooperation. It was also a space where political ambitions, strategic rivalries, and military confrontations unfolded. Throughout history, control over maritime routes and coastal regions often determined the balance of power among states. Consequently, maritime security has always been a critical concern for societies dependent upon oceanic networks. In the contemporary world, this reality has become even more pronounced. The Indian Ocean has emerged as one of the most strategically significant regions on the globe. A substantial proportion of international trade, energy transportation, and communication networks traverse its waters. The economic growth of many nations depend upon the uninterrupted flow of maritime commerce. At the same time, the region faces a wide range of challenges, including piracy, illegal fishing, maritime terrorism, environmental degradation, human trafficking, and geopolitical competition among major powers. Against this backdrop, the role of the Sri Lankan Navy assumes increasing importance. The Navy is entrusted not only with safeguarding the territorial waters and maritime resources of the nation, but also with contributing to regional stability and international maritime security. This responsibility requires more than operational excellence. It requires profound understanding of historical process, contemporary realities, and emerging future trends. This is precisely where research becomes indispensable. Modern defense institutions throughout the world increasingly recognize that knowledge constitutes a strategic asset. Research enables organizations to anticipate challenges rather than merely react to them. It provides the analytical foundation necessary for the effective policy formulation, operational planning, and institutional innovations. Through research, military organizations can better understand technological transformations, environmental changes, security threats, and the broader geopolitical landscape within which they operate. The establishment and strengthening of dedicated research culture within the Sri Lankan Navy therefore deserves special commendation. Such initiatives encourage critical thinking, interdisciplinary collaborations, and evidence based decision making. They foster a culture in which professional practice is enriched by scholarly inquiry and where operational experience informs academic analysis. The publication launched today symbolizes this important convergence between practice and knowledge. It demonstrates that the Navy recognizes the value of intellectual engagement as an essential component of national security. By documenting research findings, promoting informed discussions, and encouraging scholarly dialogue, such publications contribute not only to the advancement of naval studies, but also to the broader development of strategic thinking in Sri Lanka. Furthermore, this initiative creates opportunities for collaboration between military professionals, university scholars, historians, archaeologists, economists, environmental scientists, and policy experts. The challenges facing the maritime domain are increasingly multidimensional and cannot be addressed through a single disciplinary perspective. Effective responses require an integration of diverse forms of knowledge and expertise. Therefore, research publications such as this can serve as valuable platform for fostering dialogue across institutional and disciplinary boundaries. As an archaeologist and a student of Sri Lanka's past, I am particularly encouraged by the recognition that historical knowledge has an important role to play in shaping future strategies. History offers more than a record of past events. It provides a long-term perspective through which contemporary developments can be understood. It reveals patterns of continuity and change. It highlights both successes and failures. Most importantly, it reminds us that societies capable of learning from their past are often better prepared to navigate the uncertainties of the future. Sri Lanka's historical experience demonstrates that maritime engagement has consistently been a source of opportunity, prosperity, and cultural enrichment. At the same time, it has underscored the necessity of maintaining security, resilience, and adaptability within an ever-changing regional environment. These lessons remain highly relevant today. Therefore, the publication we celebrate this evening should be viewed not merely as an academic achievement, but as a strategic investment in the future. It reflects a vision of Navy that is not only operationally capable, but also intellectually vibrant. A Navy that values research as a foundation for innovation. And a Navy that understands its role within the broader historical and geopolitical context of the Indian Ocean. In conclusion, I once again congratulate the research wing of the Sri Lankan Navy for this commendable achievement. May this publication inspire future research, stimulate meaningful discussions, and contribute to the development of informed maritime policy and contribute to the development of informed maritime policy and strategic thinking in Sri Lanka. I am confident that initiative of this nature will strengthen both the institutional capacity of Navy and the nation's ability to respond effectively to the opportunities and challenges of the maritime century. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your valuable thoughts, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, as we have reached to the culmination of today's proceedings, let me now invite Captain Nuan Hewa Hakmanage, the head of Strategic Studies and Doctrinal Development Unit, to deliver the closing remarks. Over to you, sir.
Esteemed dignitaries, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Standing before this august gathering, I am overwhelmed by a profound sense of history, not merely the ancient history bound within the pages of the book delivered today, but the living history unfolding in this very room. To be tasked with delivering the vote of thanks for an evening of such intellectual and national magnitude is a singular honor. I shall take endeavor to express our collective gratitude with the brevity the clock demands and the warmth this occasion deserves. First and foremost, on behalf of the Command of the Navy, our deepest expression of gratitude is extended to our chief guest, Honorable Deputy Minister of Defense, Major General Aruna Jayasekara, retired, for dedicating his time to be here this evening. We are equally privileged by the presence of the Command of the Army, Lieutenant General Lasantha Rodrigo, and the Commander of the Air Force, Air Marshal Bandhu Ediri Singh. Sirs, Your Grace, at this event speaks volumes of seamless comradeship that defines our armed forces. This book is nothing short of an academic triumph. For very first time, University of Kelaniya, Peradeniya, Jaffna, Central Cultural Fund, Postgraduate Institute of Archaeology, along with Sri Lanka Navy, have been woven together into a single tapestry of intellectual discourse. We thank all authors who contribute to pen this book. We are profoundly grateful to the Director Generals of Central Cultural Fund, Department of Archaeology, Department of National Archives, and Director Postgraduate Institute of Archaeology for their attendance. This grand intellectual voyage is not possible without proper guidance. On behalf of the Director General's Policy and Plan, we thank with great appreciation the Commander of the Navy, Vice Admiral Kanchan Banagoda, for his strong leadership and guidance provided during this endeavor. We also acknowledge the former Commander of the Navy, Admiral Priyantha Perera, retired, for masterfully conceived the idea that Navy must play a crucial role in the resurgence of our maritime plus. That vision was meticulously steered through uncharted waters by the former heads of Naval Research Wing, Captain Priyadarshan Rukubara, retired, and Captain Rangana Lakma. But a vision required an architect to make it a reality. Professor Raj Somadeva stood as a vital and unifying pillar. He ensured that what began as a mere conversation for mutual collaboration solidified and transformed into enduring epoch-defining pursuit of our heritage. Our deep gratitude also goes to Professor Osman Bopiarachi and Professor Rohit Dasanayaka, whose knowledge, expertise, and support have greatly enriched this project. We also sincerely thank our editorial board, led by Professor Raj Somadeva. We also owe a special word of appreciation to Chief of Staff Rear Admiral Damian Fernando, Deputy Chief of Staff Rear Admiral Ravindra Tissera, whose consistent support and encouragement was significant. Further, we acknowledge support rendered by the Director Generals, Command Western Naval Area during this effort. A special mention should be made for the Deputy Force Marshal, Commanding Officer Excellence Parakrama, Mess Manager, Acting Director Media, Mess Manager Lighthouse Galley for their staff for their exceptional support. To organizing committee, the officers and sailors of Sri Lanka Navy who engineered and seamless logistics and administrative coordination of this beautiful evening. And to every single guest who choose to spend their evening celebrating our shared history, we thank you profusely. Ladies and gentlemen, we live here today not just with a book in our hand, but with a renewed custody of our seas. Thank you very much. Have a pleasant evening.
Thank you very much, sir.
Distinguished invitees, ladies and gentlemen, it is with much pleasure to announce that the official launch ceremony of the first editions of Sri Lanka's Maritime Heritage and Historical Significance is successfully concluded with your valuable presence.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are now kindly requested to proceed. Officers lounge for refreshments. Thank you very much and have a wonderful evening.